Hey, you gorgeous humans. I really want to start off by just saying thank you so much for reaching out and, sending me love and checking to see if I'm okay. Um, and I really am. I really am. I'm holding that space there. And yeah, I did have a panic attack the other night. First one in years. I talked about that in my last live. But honestly, I haven't had one in 2 years, and it used to happen at least weekly. So I see that as a pretty freaking epic win. Now, my intention for jumping on this morning was really a post that I promised to do ages ago, which was about what is kinesiology? What the heck do I do? What's a spiritual intuitive kinesiologist? To be honest, I hate the label kinesiologist because it literally doesn't really specify what I do at all. So in Australia here, you can sit in a weekend course and call yourself a kinesiologist if you learn muscle testing, or you could go and study for 4 years, spend a shit ton of money and a whole lot of hours and time and learning, and then be called a kinesiologist. Ugh, labels, seriously, so annoying. Anyway, what I do, I'm technically what's called a professional kinesiologist. I studied through the International College of Professional Kinesiology Practitioners, and that was really my basis. So what kinesiology is basically the word is the study of movement or body movement. So for me though, I had to look at, and a philosophy of someone who's done the study that I have done is holistic. So I not only look at the body, even though I have studied anatomy and physiology for 3 years. Like I've done those 3 units of anatomy and physiology. I've studied nutrition. I've done units of nutrition, units of psychology, units of emotions, units, oh my dear Lord, I have done so much. So heavily backed in traditional Chinese medicine, it's based on the fact that trauma is stored in the body. Whatever happens to you, it is stored in your body. Your body keeps a record of everything you go through. So when it comes time and when you feel triggered, it's going to set up a series of events that was very similar to, or even like if you haven't dealt with something, it'll perpetuate sometimes the trauma and the pain and that sort of thing. Now, trauma gets brought out in the body in a lot of different ways. It can look like pain, it can look like anxiety, it can look like a lot of different things, which is why, and it can also start to look like personality traits, right? Like overachievers. Oh my gosh, if anyone's grown up in a perfectionistic framework, you're most like some people fall into the I'm not going to try anything, and other people fall into the I need to overwork to prove my worth. So all of these trauma responses are so ridiculously varied that there cannot possibly be one way to treat it. So as a kinesiologist, I look at the person. I look at the symptoms. I am not interested in the labels behind all of it. Labels are great for easily being able to access information and bundle information into one thing, but labels keep you limited, especially when you start identifying as a label, right? It's like, I am depressed, I am anxious, I am this, I am that. You feel those things, you experience those, but they are not who you are. So a kinesiologist goes, okay, what are you experiencing in your life? I work off a baseline of not just helping you survive. I'm interested in helping you get past survival into thriving. That's my goal. That's why not approach things like that? Like, why not just, we want to get past the survival thing, we want to get into the thriving thing. So as a kinesiologist, I use muscle testing, and I have used muscle testing. One of them looks like this, and like I've learned how to test most of the major muscles of the body. In fact, I've technically learned how to muscle test all muscles in the body using surrogates and stuff like that. But we are taught to look for the emotion that is attached. Coupling this with my experience in organized religion, 30 years in the, well, 29, I'm fucking owning that extra year. 29 years in the Mormon church, leaving that, oh my goodness, it was fundamental. I cannot explain to you the whole series of that. Going through as much through sexual trauma and learning how to overcome all of that. Being in a narcissistic relationship, married to a narcissist, and really struggling through all of that, has also coupled in with this kinesiology, being able to access hundreds, and I'm talking hundreds, of different balancing techniques that I have been learning over the last 9 years since becoming a kinesiologist. So it is heavily steeped in traditional Chinese medicine. Absolutely. I draw on as many and as much information as I can possibly collect and I never stop learning. Why? Because I have so many different types of people who have experienced so many different types of things who have come to me. And if I have information within my psyche, I'm able to access it. If I can't access it, then I'm able to ask where I am able to access that. That might sound really unusual for a lot of people who don't understand energy and how energy works. I have been working specifically with energy for 10 years. That's how I know my shit. That's how I'm able to access what I'm able to access. That's why so many of my clients are like, oh my dear Lord, how did you fucking know that? It's because I researched so much, and being the intuitive healer that I have actually always been, and I'm really just sort of stepping into that in the last few years, really stepping into my intuition and those, what's the word for them? I can't remember. So there's like some claircognizance, that's it. Claircognizance. I receive information on behalf of my clients and I'm able to pass it on, and it freaking helps. It gets so specific for each of them, and that's what's been able to help facilitate a lot of these transformations. So yes, it is about empowering you. It's also about helping to heal the trauma on the back end also. And that container of spiritual sovereignty is really designed with that one-on-one also in mind, so that you can message me directly and I can talk and help you through in real time a difficult situation, an old pattern. Because everything that starts showing up in our life are old patterns that are starting to repeat themselves, and they worked for a time, which is why they stuck around. So we're not going to beat our body up. We're not going to beat ourselves up for holding onto a pattern that has actually helped us to survive. But the things that help us to survive are not the things that help us thrive. They're just not. You know, working through survival, you are in this place of almost compromising yourself just to have your needs met. But if you allow yourself to lean into what it is that your soul desire is, which is very different to a superficial desire. You will have wants and needs, and the way you understand whether they are a soul desire or a superficial desire is their intention. Now, I can tell you now, a lot of people won't be able to handle spiritual sovereignty because they can't be honest to themselves. That's going to be their biggest struggle there. Being able to identify and let go of stories that are hurting and harmful to them, leaning out of the drama and the excuse and the blame, most people won't be able to handle it. This is why I teach self-healing, because I do not want to create a codependent relationship with clients. able you guys to heal for yourself. I ask you the questions so that you can find your own answers. I don't fucking give you the answers. I don't. It's your life. I help you and I train you how to find your own answers, because fuck being told what to do anymore. Right? Like, fuck it. Spent 29 years in that religion being told exactly what was expected, exactly how I should be, exactly how I should show up, and it fucking gaslit me into all levels of anxiety. Hence the panic attack and the familiarity of that, right? And the fact that I haven't had to experience that in so long. Not that I haven't had to. I have put in the effort and the work and really sunk into owning so much of my life that now when a panic attack comes on, like it did the other night, I'm like, whoa. Instead of this is terrifying, this is terrible, I just allowed it to happen because I know how it feels. And I'm like, you know what? This is all going to be okay. I know how this is. I'm not going to give all my power away and blame and all of that to all these external circumstances that I don't really have a whole lot of control over right now, but I'm just going to lean into it anyway. Because I know through experience, because I've also helped other people and I've also helped myself through it, that surrendering is peaceful. And the more you are able to surrender to your heart and what it is that it is telling you, to your own soul, to tap in to within, to receive your answers from within and not prioritize anyone's answers from without. This is really what spiritual sovereignty is. It's a me bringing you and showing you back to yourself where your strengths are, doing it using the tools that I have been trained in, as well as an initiation through this claircognizance, intuitive healing space also. That, I mean, I literally am so fucking passionate about this, about teaching people how to heal through pleasure, how to heal through ease, so that they can then do it for themselves. This is my life calling. Now, I actually really wanted to study kinesiology about 12 years ago. But it wasn't right. I was still so far in the church and it was a weekend. So it was once a month over a weekend, and then you go away and you have all these hours of practice that you have to do, like a lot of fucking practice. And because it was on a weekend, and even though I would have been studying to become a healer, which, let's be honest, a lot of this like energy work is a little bit, members aren't happy with that. So my family, who were sort of helping me, were a little bit freaked out by some of it. And they're like, Katie, I think that this is like bad. Like, I think this is sort of devil work. And I'm like, it's in your body. I mean, there's some information here about your body. If it's about your body, certainly God had some sort of input, possibly. So talking to them in their sort of what they can understand and having to sort of deal with that while also leaving the church was really interesting. But I leaned into it, and so fucking glad I did, because I'm so glad that I've got those tools. For me, I had never considered that I was intelligent or of much worth to anyone or helpful at all beyond being a wife, a mother, and I think I was like the second counselor on the Relief Society presidency, and my husband was on the bishopric, and that was about the extent of my worth, what I could be for other people, right? And even though being a healer is sort of showing up for other people, it's my fucking sole purpose. It lights me up. I still need to look after me, like my little Katie, the little Katies. I still need to look after me, but I do that, and I find that feeds into this work, and then this work feeds into me, and this beautiful symbiotic relationship. I don't know. I'm a bit like, sometimes my words get scattered. Symbiotic relationship that has really become such a beautiful thing for me. You know, this work that I'm doing here in this space, I really value it very deeply. And yeah, I hope that explains a little bit more about kinesiology. I'm not sure entirely that it does. I'm going to save this video and put it up on my YouTube channel. So if you're curious, you can go check it out there. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to add this one to Insta, and that's okay. It wasn't planned. I'm sending you guys all so much love, and I hope you have an incredible week.